Good morning. Hi, everyone. Good morning. Can you guys hear me all right? Or how about tell me if you can't hear me?
I can hear you.
Hi. I can hear
And I
you.
just gotta turn my video on somehow.
Yeah.
Let's see. There.
Okay. So let me just make sure I'm all set. Okay. I think I'm good.
See if I can sit outside.
Mm.
Should we mute our microphones?
Probably unless you want to speak. Otherwise there'll be too much noise in the background.
Yeah.
Hi, yeah, good morning, everyone. So nice to see you all.
Good morning. Well, it's really afternoon, but good
Oh yeah,
afternoon.
I always say good morning. I forget. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everything, wherever you are. Oh, you're welcome, Kansu. Yeah, I'm happy to be here with you guys in this interesting time. But then I don't know what I did with my computer today, but it's different, and I'm trying to figure out my Zoom situation. Yeah, I'm really glad that we could connect. I've been thinking about everyone and sending my love, and in all honesty, I'm really isolated anyways. My sort of my own personal life situation, I think, is it hasn't changed much in the last few weeks. So I'm feeling very grounded and and grounded and at peace amidst all the changes. So I wanted to connect with you guys, and I want to do some breath with you because it's such a beautiful way to relax the nervous system and drop into the moment and drop into the body. And yeah, this is a really crazy time we're in. So I just wanted to give it a couple minutes for people to hop on that maybe, oh, it's dripping on me. Welcome to Off-Grid Hawaii Life. My roof is dripping on me. Yeah, I just wanted to give people a couple minutes to hop on. Cousin. My cousin is here. I think my mom is here too. I think I saw her. It's a lovely family. Sweet. So, oh yeah, I see mom. There she is. So before we start, yeah, we're gonna do some breath and probably do some meditation, and I'd love to just share some really practical tools with you for kind of dropping out of anxiety and fear, and talk maybe a little bit about fear, because that seems to be the sort of the thing we're dealing with so heavily right now, fear and the unknown. And for those of you that are here that did the last two courses with me, I was thinking the other morning when I woke up, it just came to me how perfect the timing of the nervous system course and then Unbecoming, which was really sitting sitting in the unknown, how perfect those courses were for us. But we'll do some of that stuff together for those of you that weren't in those courses. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna call it good. So let's just all, I'm Jessica, by the way, if I don't know you yet. I'm Jessica. So lovely to see you all again, and to be in this space with you. And I know there's some people that can't make the call that will be watching the recording. So thank you also to those of you who are showing up at any time and space to just be here with us and kind of come into this space. So I do just want to start, if you can just close your eyes. And just bring your awareness into the body somewhere. So maybe into the heart, but if there's somewhere else that is calling to you, go ahead and trust that. And just taking a few deep breaths. And really allowing everything to settle into this moment, into our direct experience. So dropping away from the mind, away from thought, away from any kind of projection. Into the body, into the senses. And just noticing, just taking a few moments to notice how your body is doing today. You can lightly scan the body and just notice what's going on there. Notice what it might be calling your attention to. And offering any spaces that feel contracted or tight, just offering those spaces some love, some attention. Maybe you can take your breath into those places. I just want to start with this really simple breath to relax the nervous system. This is something you can use really anywhere, anytime. It is such a good tool to have with you if you don't know it yet. You're just going to take your right hand and gently block off your right nostril. So you don't have to smash it. Just gently block off the right nostril. And sit up nice and tall. We just want to get some length through the spine so that the diaphragm is lifted and the rib cage can open and move, so the breath can really move to the bottom of the lungs. So block off the right nostril, and we're just going to breathe in and out of the left nostril. Nice and slow. It helps if you think about really extending the exhale as long as possible. We're not going to worry about counting anything right now, just in and out through the left nostril. So this left side brings cooling and calmness to the system. On that inhale, really draw the breath all the way down into the bottom of the lungs. And then exhaling, drawing the exhale out really slow and long. And we'll just do this for a few moments together. It's nice to just let the eyes close gently. And if the mind is busy, you can see if you can trace the breath with your mind. So just let the mind follow the breath. Let the breath lead. Good. And see if you can invite some more softness into the body. So again, noticing if there's anywhere that is tight or contracted or feels restricted. And just invite the breath into those spaces. Invite them to soften, to open. And it's nothing forceful, because we really want to be mindful of letting our own self know that we're safe. So being very gentle, very tender, very compassionate. And just inviting softness, inviting a little bit of openness into the spaces that are tight. Just kind of letting the body know it's okay in this moment. It's okay. In this moment, you're safe. You're safe to breathe. You're safe to be. Okay, we'll just do a few more rounds of this. Again, noticing if there's some tightness and some contraction. Maybe it's a holding on the end of the inhale. Maybe it's a holding on the end of the exhale. Maybe it's a little bit of both. And again, just inviting the body to relax a little bit, to let go. Just a little bit. Okay, and then you can drop the hand. Take a deep inhale. hold the inhale for just a moment and just lightly pull up at the base of your spine as if you're lifting the lower body up. And imagine your energy moving up through the center of the body to the crown of the head. And release that pull. Exhale the breath. Okay. Does everybody feel a little bit calmer, a little more centered? Or maybe you were super chill when you got here. I do. So that's like I said, if that's not already in your, or if it wasn't in your toolbox before, now it can be, and it's a really good thing to share with everyone and anyone. You know, sometimes some of the yogic breathing that we do that can be really helpful is a little more complex. Some people find it a little weird. It's maybe hard to share easily with other people, or in a really, you know, a situation where you need something immediate. You know, not like a class type situation, but this is one that's so easy and everybody can, you know, can kind of follow along, and is pretty open to that one. So please use it for yourself whenever you need it, like you're driving or you're feeling a little tense or stressful or stressed, and share it with anybody you know. So it's just covering the right nostril and then breathing in and out through the left, and it really pretty quickly calms everything. It's also a really great tool for any kind of compulsive behavior. So if you have any sort of compulsions or addictions, that's a really good tool for kind of dropping out of that instant compulsory reaction. So you can just do a little bit of that breath, and then make a choice. Okay. Does anybody have anything that's really kind of burning in them that they want to share, or any questions? This isn't really a formal class so much. I just wanted us to come together and have some space together. And like I said, I wanted to do some breath with you. We're going to do some more breathing in a few minutes. But how are you guys doing out there? Maybe that's a good question. Does anybody want to share?
I guess I'll start off since it's very quiet at the moment. I wanted to wait for someone else to speak, so then I would be like, yeah, what she said. But but I guess I'll start. Well, it's nice to see you, Jessica.
You too.
We've been interacting on Facebook, but yeah, I don't even know where to begin. I've been struggling with trauma for quite a while, and it's gotten very, very intense. Strangely, with all this COVID going on, it's not as intense. It's funny. And right now my mother's stuck in Tobago, and there's a big wound there with my birth family. I'm guessing not many people have been actually fully parented, so it's not like but yeah, it's there's a lot of triggers there, and yeah, I was supposed to come to Hawaii, and then that was going to be part of dealing with the crisis I'm in and live with Rashani. And so I'm back here with no resources except a lot of love. Also a lot of solitude as well. So I need to actually reach out, but then we can't, in Montreal, we actually can't really be together. Like, we can go outside, but anyways, so long story, but yeah, I mean, the vagus nerve is kind of everything to me right now,
Hmm.
trying to figure it out, and co-regulation. And so thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. And thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing. I know you're supposed to be here, but this will do for now. So just for the people watching the video, because they won't get to see the text, we have some text: tired, quiet here in LA, I guess a little scared, out of control world. It is a madhouse. It is pretty crazy right now. So yeah, I think that most of us outside of this pandemic scare right now, most of us are walking around with activated nervous systems, with unresolved trauma in our bodies. So maybe this, in a way, this is bringing to the forefront the necessity of really caring well for ourselves, of really paying attention to our nervous systems and learning how to take care of them. It's such an immensely useful tool, and it's the nervous system really affects us on so many levels, and it's not always talked about beyond just the physical level, how it's affecting our physical body, but also, you know, our mental body, our emotional body, and our subtle body, our energy body is intimately connected with the nervous system. So when we can start to really pay attention to the communication from our nervous system and learn how to respond to it, and learn these tools to help care well for ourselves via that communication, because what it does is it's constantly communicating to us information that we're not always consciously aware of. So sometimes you can find in a moment that your body will be contracted, maybe your breath becomes contracted, maybe your heart rate even is a little bit elevated, and you will notice perhaps that you're not conscious of anything that you're afraid of even in that moment, but yet the body is responding. So that's, his nervous system is so sensitive, and it's picking up signals from the physical world around us. But again, also it works intimately with the subtle body, so it's picking up things that are more subtle, that aren't so acute or manifest, and giving us that information about our relationship with our surroundings. So much of what we've learned in our society is to kind of conquer, master, or ignore our body, or our emotions, or really much of what arises in us naturally. But for right now, I want to talk about the body. So we're really taught how to disassociate from the body, how to disconnect from the body, how to stop listening to what the body is asking from us, and to stop listening to the communication from the body. That has not served us well. And I think most of us know that. And so when we start to go, oh, this nervous system is this communication line that tells me about my interior world in relationship to my exterior world, both the things that I can, see or feel or hear or taste or touch, and also the things that are more subtle, the energy aspects. So it's a really good time to make listening to that communication a priority. I would invite you into that. That sort of necessitates us finding this space in our life where we are clear of the static and the noise. So there might be, for some of us, a lot of internal stuff coming up that is just sort of organically and naturally arising right now: anxiety, fear, worry, concern, overwhelm, whatever else it may be. And holding space for what is naturally arising is so important. And then also beginning to really clearly discern what is organic to our own experience and what is coming from outside of us or being stimulated by something outside of us that is not a necessity. So this is where, again, we have to really be willing to tune in very sensitively to ourselves and to start to really take seriously the information that we receive from ourselves and respond to it and begin to discern, okay, here's my organic experience. Maybe that includes things that aren't necessarily the most pleasant, like fear. And here is where I'm sort of absorbing or picking up or having fear, anxiety stimulated by outside things that aren't necessary. So that would be like how much, being mindful of what you're tapping into. I think most of us are pretty physically isolated at this point, but what you're tapping into online, where you're spending your time online. And then, of course, the mind stuff. These very interesting minds that we have that like to run off on all sorts of stories. So being mindful of what is the story, what is the outside sort of static or noise and triggers, and then what is my organic, really genuine experience in this moment. And that's my invitation to you, is to kind of keep scanning those spaces and keep pulling everything back to your direct experience. If you notice that the mind is spinning off in anxiety and fear stories, you can do something to sort of change the channel in the mind or drop your awareness away from mind. We'll practice that in a minute. If that's hard for you, please know that it is a hard thing to do if you're not practiced at it, and it gets easier over time. So I really encourage you to practice it. And then to just be really mindful of where you're putting your attention and energy, and put your attention and energy somewhere that is it is loving to you, like when maybe you're watching a show or you're engaging somewhere online, you can just ask yourself, like, is this the most loving thing I can do for myself right now? And if no, then you can let it go. And if yes, then you know sort of where you're on track. Christy says, turning inward and connecting with what is most important, love for self and others. Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, times like this, that is one thing that they tend to do, is really focus our attention on what is most important, and that's one of the gifts of the dark. We are certainly all going through a collective dark night right now, and there are many gifts in the dark. The trick, again, an invitation to you, is that the gifts are really incorporated. When we can find a way to sit in the dark. So a lot of times these things come up and are, these unpleasant things come up, whether it's fear or anxiety, whatever we sort of term and judge as more negative experiences, and our impulse, our reaction is to push them away. It's a very reasonable reaction. But the gifts of the dark are really found and really incorporated into the being if we can find instead a way to sit with what is uncomfortable, and then eventually we find a way to open to it, to embrace it. And again, that's not a forceful or violent process. So it's not about kind of violently making yourself sit in something that is terrifying and then forcing yourself to open. That's not what it is. It's a gentle, again, a very loving, compassionate process. Lindsay says, been feeling super detached, I think, out of protection. So yeah, that's another pretty common response. Again, a very biological nervous system response. Like the flight response, where we sort of pull away in an effort to protect. And some amount of that, again, inviting you into the really being very curious and becoming very sensitive and very intimate with your own experience. There is some amount of sort of protecting your own, your own even energetic and psychic space that is important and valid and good. And then there is detachment, where we're really fleeing out of the moment. Again, a lot of these are very biological responses, which is why I think it's so important to develop our capacity to allow them. There's so much talk about fear and response to fear right now, and so many suggestions of what to do with that fear. A lot of them being sort of just like, don't be in fear, right? Don't be afraid. I don't find that to be necessarily the most helpful. Fear is such a powerful biological response. And we are wired to pay attention to fear because fear is our alert system that we're in danger. So the whole body-mind system is wired to pay attention to fear so that we can keep ourselves alive. So I don't think that we need to reject fear. Also, any form of self-rejection or suppression or repression just sort of cycles back later. If you are in the moment experiencing fear and you're told don't experience fear, and you're somehow able, again, fear can be really powerful. So even the ability to somehow shut down fear in the midst of it is pretty rare. But if you are able to, and you just kind of shut it down, you're really just like locking it into both the physical body and the energy body, and the nervous system. It stays trapped in this sort of this triggered ongoing cycle. It just goes into maybe deeper levels that you're not aware of in the moment, but they do surface later. So obviously fear is not where we want to dwell. It really wreaks havoc on the body. It's really hard for the body to be in a state of fear for a long period of time. And it really, really clouds our ability to think and act clearly. So between those two worlds of, not suppressing or repressing what is going on for us, and also acknowledging that we don't want to be dwelling in fear, what do we do? My suggestion, and this is really born of my own experience working with fear, which I think I've been working with fear pretty directly and intimately for a couple decades now. It's been sort of the theme of my life, whether by choice or sometimes not by choice. So the thing that we can do is to acknowledge what is arising for us. So if we have fear, again, coming out of the mind if we can and dropping into the body, acknowledging whatever is present for us right now. And just acknowledging it means just literally seeing that it's there. Oh, okay, fear is present. And then while the normal reaction is to sort of try to get as far away from the fear as possible, my invitation is to see if you can get more intimate with the fear, so actually get a little bit closer with it. And maybe we'll practice that. We'll practice that in a minute. So instead of moving away from it, getting a little bit closer to it, becoming a little bit intimate with it as part of your experience. Using the breath as a tool to calm the body reaction so that the body can stay well. And then noticing again, what is fear as an organic experience? Again, it's just this biological response, this alert system through the body. We don't want to stop ourselves from being sensitive to that alert system. That wouldn't be the most wise thing to do, right? But noticing where the fear is coming from the mind, because that's sort of a whole different, it's a whole different situation. If you're not practiced in, I guess what we'd call mindfulness, so the art of watching your own mind and seeing what your own mind does, I really invite you to start doing that now. Our mind goes off into these myriad of stories. And our minds, I mean this with no judgment, but our minds are very dramatic. Essentially, all of this going on in here is some form of kind of entertainment. And that's not to make light of it, but you can watch and see for yourself how dramatic the mind really is. The mind is always projecting somewhere other than now, right? So projecting into the future and creating all sorts of responses in the body, because the body responds to the mind as if it's something real. So if we're thinking about something terrifying, the body will start to experience fear. Or you know, it likes to go into the past. The mind is rarely ever just right here. So we start to notice those things, and that's something where we can start to use some direction to kind of rein that in. Where if the mind is really projecting out into the future in a way that's causing us a lot of anxiety or fear, we can again drop out of that mind story, come into the body is a way to do that. So when we're trying to drop away from the stories of the mind, the antidote to that is to come into the present moment, which means coming into the body, into the sensory system. And this is kind of covering a great deal of information in a short little period. So if you have questions, I'll leave some time to answer them. Can you guys see me? I think my internet just dropped out. We don't have great internet to begin with here in Hawaii. I think it's a little taxed. Yeah, I was just saying, you know, there's so much to cover. We can't cover it all today. But I do want to touch on these things a little bit, and then, you know, sort of whatever resonates for you, whatever you can pick up as useful. You can go a little bit deeper with them on your own, or hopefully we can gather again in following weeks and maybe go deeper with it. So the mind, the stories in the mind and the anxiety that the mind causes, this is the place where we do want to sort of take some direction, some command of things, if it is generating fear in us, because again, that would be an unnecessary fear. If there's fear organically arising in the moment, outside of sort of mind, then we can hold compassionate space for that, and inviting you, please, to hold compassionate space for everything that is arising. There's really no reason to reject any part of experience or any part of self that is here right now for you. And this is the mother energy. It is that energy that shows up for us, or that we bring for ourselves, that is loving and tender and compassionate. And it's like that feeling of the mother's arms around you, holding you. And so whether you connect to that outside of yourself, like as the mother presence, the great mother outside of yourself, or the other way is to connect to it by consciously bringing it to your own experience for yourself. So you become the mother for yourself in this moment. I think that the antidote to the fear and the anxiety and the worry is this love and tenderness and compassion, sort of the trying to force experience away, or trying to suppress or repress or deny experience is not helpful in the end. Occasionally in a let's say if there's an actual sort of crisis moment happening, and it's necessary for a short period of time, that can be useful. But then we want to come back to this space and really let everything move through us. So that was a bit of information, but really what I want to do with you guys is do some of that. So I'd like to drop into some breath, kind of do it as a guided meditation, and practice being in the body, practice holding space for whatever is arising for you now. So for now, let's, if you can, I don't know if what position you're in, but it'd be nice to probably, well, no, you can either remain seated if you're seated, or you can actually lay down if you'd like to. Laying down might be really nice, unless for some reason you want to be up. But it'll work either way, so don't worry about getting anything right. Okay, and to start, I want you to bring your hands to your rib cage. I think we've all heard this suggestion to breathe deeply. And a lot of times and even I kind of use the cues to breathe into the belly, but that's not even quite it. What we really want to do is breathe from the diaphragm. And this is what helps to relax the nervous system. The way that anxiety works in the body kind of goes both ways. So if the mind is anxious, the body will respond to those cues in certain ways. But also, if the body has these cues of anxiety in them, then the mind can start to become anxious. So it goes both ways. So we want to, tend to both spaces. When we have anxiety, we tend to contract the body inward. In particular, we tend to contract the intercostal muscles, which are the little muscles that run in between the rib cage. So when we have trauma or fear or anxiety, these intercostal muscles, they squeeze together and contract. And again, really these human organisms are very intelligent. They're contracting in an effort to sort of if you were to really, you can even do it, sort of contract the muscles of the rib cage, your body curls towards that fetal position. So what it does is protects the vital organs. So it's just this, this body-mind intelligence, again, to keep you safe and keep you alive. But if we're not in a situation where our life is threatened like that, then it's not necessarily useful. And it's definitely not useful for it to stay like that, which is very often the case because we don't have a lot of tools or teachings or encouragement to relax these fear and trauma responses out of the body. So when the intercostal muscles are tight, the breathing is tight and shallow and up in the top of the chest. And this, even out of a moment of fear, creates an anxiety response in the body. So it actually creates stress hormones, which again, the body continues to react to, the mind continues to react to. So we're just inviting, if you can think of it as like, just inviting the opposite of the contraction and the tightness would be softness, openness, and fluidity. When those intercostal muscles are tight, the diaphragm doesn't move when we breathe. So again, sort of the step beyond breathing deeply or beyond even breathing down into the belly is moving the diaphragm when we breathe. When the diaphragm moves, the rib cage moves. So I just want you to put your hands on your ribs and just a few breaths, just naturally, just however you would naturally breathe, and see what happens to your rib cage. For most of us, the chest might be moving, the belly might be moving, but most of us, there's not going to be a lot of movement in the rib cage. So now I want you to start to move the rib cage when you breathe, and it might feel awkward, might not happen at first. Just stick with it a little bit. See if you can breathe in such a way that the rib cage moves, and actually we want it to move out to the side. So a lot of our breath is kind of vertical, maybe the chest and the shoulders moving up and down. Or some people who are practiced with belly breathing, the belly moving. See if you can move your rib cage actually with your breath out to the sides. So it's like these angel wings. And just taking a few breaths like this, again, just practicing. When the diaphragm moves, we can get breath all the way into the bottom of the lungs. When the breath goes to the bottom of the lungs, it reaches these nerve endings that are connected to the vagus nerve that stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system that tells the whole body to calm, to relax, gives the signals that it's safe. Good, so just a few more practicing that. So moving the rib cage out to the side, so a horizontal movement, if you can, out to the sides, like angel wings, opening and closing. And now start to really deepen the breath. And again, another trick for this vagus nerve, which tells the body everything is safe, you can rest, is to extend that exhale. So without making it too complicated, just trying to make your exhale really long and slow. And if you can, breathing through the nose now. breathing through the nose rather than the mouth also helps to create that parasympathetic nervous system dominance. Just means going from the fight or flight to the resting, the I am safe. Okay, so keep moving the rib cage with the breath. And you can feel also the belly rising on the inhale as the lungs open up, making space for more air, for more oxygen to come in. All of the organs in the torso start to move out of the way, and the belly rises and the lungs fill. And drawing that breath even slower and deeper now. Really filling the whole lungs on your inhale. So noticing if you stop a little bit before the lungs are totally full. Inviting yourself there to really fill out that inhale. Breathe all the way. Seeing if there's a little bit more room at the end of the inhale. Stretch a little bit wider. Take in a little bit more. And then exhale. Just letting the breath relax out of you. And noticing the same thing on the end of your exhale. Just noticing if there's a little bit of holding there. If you're holding back a little bit of breath. And just inviting the lungs and the body to totally let go. Inhaling deeply. Letting the rib cage move, creating space in the body. Pulling the breath all the way down into the belly. And exhaling, letting everything come back to center. Notice if you're still hanging on. Let go. And as you're breathing here, taking notice of the body. Noticing how just focusing on our breath for a few minutes starts to naturally draw our attention away from the mind, away from the stories of the mind, those projections forward and backward. Because the breath is only right here, right now. And on that inhale, coming fully into here and now. Exhaling, letting everything go. Inhaling. Exhaling. And I want you to notice where in your body you're inviting the breath into. What spaces in the body are you taking this breath? What spaces on each inhale start to fill up with energy, with light? And where in the body are you maybe not breathing to? And I invite you to take your breath into those spaces now. And as we continue this breath, we're just going to start to explore the body, explore our experience in the moment. Just want you to notice what feels most forward, most prevalent to you right now as an experience. So maybe to you it's a feeling. We can identify feeling as emotion or sensation. So just noticing for you what is sort of the most prevalent experience right now. And I just want you to draw your awareness to it. So just bringing your attention. So if your attention comes to a sensation, I'd like you to just keep it there for a few breaths. And if your attention comes to a feeling as emotion, then we're going to practice moving a little bit closer. So you can sort of replace your own experience with mine, but just for the sake of languaging it, let's say there is some anxiety present, and we notice that. Then what I'd like you to do is notice how this thing that you call anxiety, how it shows up in the body. So this thing that you call anxiety, get a little bit closer to it, beyond that word. What does that actually mean in your direct experience? What is your direct experience of this thing you're calling anxiety? And so maybe it's a tightness in the chest. And I'd like you to place your awareness there. And you can remind yourself that you are safe in this moment. We're just doing a little experiment, a little exploration. So now we're a little bit closer. Because if you notice these words, they don't have a meaning other than what it is we attach to them. So we gotta keep getting closer into the experience. So if the direct experience of anxiety is actually that there's some tightness present in the chest, and placing our awareness in that tightness, see if you can get a little bit closer. What is that tightness? Is there another sensation there? Is there maybe a more subtle experience there? So maybe when you get really close to the tightness, maybe there's something else there, like something that feels like electricity. And then seeing if you can get even a little bit closer. And then what is that experience? And maybe at some point you don't even have a word or a name for it. And just spending a few moments in that experience. And keep breathing with me. And you can notice how sometimes these explorations into direct experience, they can be a little, it can feel a little unsure, a little uncomfortable, can have a little bit of trepidation. But there's also this beautiful sweetness in it because we're becoming so intimate with ourselves. And we oftentimes spend so much time away, very far from ourselves, far from our body, far from our own direct experience. So whatever it is that you're noticing, just see if you can sort of cultivate this feeling of tenderness, this feeling of love, this feeling of allowing it to be there. Even if you're at the same time a bit unsure, don't even have to like it really, but see if you can start to cultivate this this experience of tenderness with it, of compassion with it. And because this is just you meeting you. Everything that arises in your experience, whether it's inside of you or outside of you, is really just you meeting you. So where is the room for rejection? Where is the room to turn it away? Just you meeting you. And if that feels foreign to you, I invite you to just get curious. Get curious and keep moving closer. So even the fear and even the anxiety is allowed a space to be what it is, a space as part of our experience in these human body-mind systems, and really as a part of the intelligence of these human body-mind systems. Now let's come back to the breath for a moment. So I want you to keep filling out those rib cages. Really deep breath. See if you can take it even deeper than before. Notice if there's some more room, if the body has allowed for some more movement, some more room. It's relaxing a little bit, trusting a little bit. And you can tell your body everything is okay. In this moment, in this exact moment, everything is okay. You are safe. You are held. It is safe to breathe. It is safe to be. See if again you can let go of a little bit of control. Just an invitation for it. What happens if you let go just a little bit more and let that breath really start to move through you like a wave? So how does the breath want to move through your body now? How does your body want to breathe? So relaxing away from this feeling of command, just for a moment. And the breath moving through the body like a wave in the ocean. And if that breath is a wave in the ocean, then what is that ocean? What is that space around you that you're suspended in? Just feeling into that. How does the body want to breathe? How does the breath want to breathe through you? And noticing even as the breath moves through the body, and even as we can hear the sound of our own breath, notice that sense of total stillness within and without. Notice that sense of total quiet, silence. It's not something that we find with the mind. It's something we feel, something we encounter. And I invite you to relax into that silence, into that stillness. And you can notice if a part of you is hesitant, if a part of you kind of clenches and hangs on and resists that relaxation. And notice too if there's a part of you that really yearns for it. Part of you that very deeply wants to let go. It wants to rest. And you can just hold space for both of those. Imagining now as if you are in the arms of the mother. However this mother shows up for you. Imagining yourself held in these great big mother arms. And you feel totally safe. You feel her warmth. You feel her love. You feel how she wraps her arms around you and accepts every part of you without condition, without exception. And you can let your body relax now even deeper into her arms. Feel her holding you. Feel her supporting you. You are safe. You are loved. It's okay to relax. Now we start to breathe with her. So imagine as if in her arms you can feel her chest rising and falling with the breath. And your own breath starts to mimic her breath. And then maybe even your own breath becomes her breath. And letting go even a little bit more. Let the mother breathe us. Feeling her heartbeat next to yours. And maybe you can even hear it. And letting every inhale that she takes move through your own body, letting it become your inhale. And every exhale, letting go and pulling deeper into that space of safety, of love, of compassion. And relaxing the body, relaxing the mind, and even relaxing the breath. And just see if you still think there's something left to do. And inviting yourself to let go of that. And just see what happens. And letting go of this feeling of needing to do anything, and just let the mother breathe you. She won't let you fall. She won't let go. She won't forget to put the breath in you. And just see now. Just see if it can happen. Can she breathe you? And how does it feel to let her breathe? To let go of the need to control anything or do anything. It is safe to breathe. It is safe to be here. It is safe to be in your body. It is safe to be alive. And on each breath, feel how much the mother loves you. Every breath, inhaling that love. Feel it as a direct, visceral experience. Feel how the body responds to each inhale of love. And for yourself, taking in that love, allowing it to move through the whole body, through the whole energy body. And you can take in as much as you need. You cannot run out. It is yours. It is your birthright. It is yours to claim as you need it. It is your life. It is your blood. It is your true form. Breathing in this love and pouring it into every space, every cell, every crack, every crevice, every dark corner, every forgotten space. Any place that has been shut away or tucked away or locked away. Any space that has been turned away from, that has been denied. Pouring this love into all of those spaces. And filling them so totally, so fully that they are overflowing. And that love just pours right through you now. You can't even help it. You are so full of love. It pours out of you in every direction. And that love just filling the space around you. As if you could no longer tell where you begin or you end. And the breath of love pouring through you from the mother, filling up your whole entire body, pouring through the skin into the space around you. and growing fuller still. Stretching in all directions. Filling all space that you could possibly imagine. And just this one movement of breath, this one moment of love. And who even knows where it begins or where it ends? Only that we can feel it, and it is here. This breath has no boundaries or edges. This love has no boundaries or edges. And you have no boundaries or edges. And big enough to contain it all. In fact, you do contain it all. And it is perfect. And I invite you to hold on to this space. To come back and connect to this experience and this space whenever you need to. It is always here. It's just not usually where our attention is. So just gently starting to draw ourselves back to the body. So maybe rubbing your fingers together a little bit. Or rubbing your hands together. You can touch your face. Maybe press the hands into the ground. And see if even as you make your way back into a bit more grounded way of being in the body, if you can sort of like keep a finger, so to say, on this feeling of expansiveness. And then also keeping with you this feeling of the mother, in whatever way you need it, you can call on that for yourself. Bring that to yourself. And noticing how the body responds when we give it this gentleness and this love. And how when the breath really moves and the body relaxes, how the mind starts to relax as well. And we start to make our way down into something much closer to the heart space. So you can really do whatever you need to do. If you need to stay laying down for a little bit, if that feels good, or if you want to come back up. I'm going to stay on for a few minutes if anybody has any questions or anything you'd like to share. And if you're hopping off, I invite you to revisit any part of this that resonated with you. And the breath we did at the beginning is particularly useful just to have on hand as a tool and to share with others. That left nostril breathing, so simple. And I have a lot of information on the website too with tools like that if you need. And hopefully I'd like to get together again with you guys at some point in the following weeks. Lindsay says, thank you, we all needed this. I left so much crunchy tightness behind. Very nice. Yeah, even just sort of mentally checking in with, is there a feeling of, tightness and contraction, and are we rigid? And we can even, just sort of offer some fluidity to those spaces, and maybe we put it in the body. Dancing is great for that. We'll put it into the breath, letting the breath really become this wave that moves through us. And Jamie says, thank you so much. You're so welcome. Susan, so grateful. I feel much more expanded. Megan, thank you. Super relaxing. Michelle, thank you. Catherine, I love the breathing with the mother, feeling safe enough not to have to control, to let her have that for us and to be met with her love. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's nice. Christy says, wow, I felt a big shift in my body and some wonderful new sensations throughout my body. Nice. Andrea says, back from supporting my daughter. I loved what I caught, but at the end, Jessica, would you mind sharing how you introduced the mother breath? I have no idea. If you mean how we kind of moved into it, but I am recording this, so I'm going to send the recording out so you can do it later. You can come back to wherever you had to hop off and do it again. Cecilia says, thank you, Marie. Wonderful, Jessica, really phenomenal. Hope to take some skills into the near future. Yes, I mean, this is all available to you. This breath, always available to you. You know, this meeting what's rising with tenderness and love. I so invite you to explore that. I was saying in the beginning, but I didn't want to talk too much. I've spent a lot of time working with fear, and my response to fear used to be like very, very direct. If I was afraid of something, I really conquered it. Conquered the thing I was afraid of, conquered my fear, conquered myself. So it was that kind of relationship to fear, was to conquer it. And I will say that it is important to learn how to have command of yourself, because that is something that is really necessary at times, to learn how to, this isn't an overnight thing, but to learn how to have command of your body and mind. That is a really actually important tool to use sometimes. What happens, I found, is that to go about living that way, sort of commanding and willing and conquering body and mind and experience, is not the most useful. So again, it's a tool to have where we might need it in like a short-term situation. What I found to really be the most healing, and I mean this in like every way possible, and to offer really the deepest experience of life, is to find a way to relate to ourself and our experience and our body and our mind and our life and our emotions and all of that with this tenderness and with this love. And what happened for me was eventually I started running into sort of levels of fear, really deep primal fear, that could not be conquered. They could not be conquered. And at that point, at that point of sort of meeting my fear that could not be conquered, and at the same time, when we're in those really acute stages of fear, they're unbearable. So like, you have to do something. What I found, the only thing that could really meet it, was this tenderness and this love. So this tenderness and this love for this aspect of yourself that is afraid in that moment. And the same way you would meet a child that is afraid, right? Like if a small child came to you terrified, you wouldn't you wouldn't go at it in a way that was like conquering or domineering, and you hopefully wouldn't teach the child to do that either. Most likely your response would be this tenderness and this compassion, to hold the child, to maybe stroke its hair or take its face tenderly, to wrap it up in that safety of your own arms and your own body, and tell it that everything's okay, that it's safe. So that's the same thing we can do for ourselves. Without having to reject anything, we just meet what's arising with that sort of thing, and that allows it to move through experience, so that we're not suppressing it and it's not getting locked into the system where it's going to become a problem later, but also where it's not kind of staying as the foremost experience, and sort of wreaking havoc on the body because of all of the physical and hormonal responses to extreme stress. And then also we can be that presence for other people. Andrea says, thank you. Celia says, my jaw relaxed very much. Same with my body. Beautiful. Robin, loved the language. So organic and accurate to feel the experience. So restful. I smell lavender, and I don't have lavender anywhere near me. The scent of lavender is so strong right now, and I don't have lavender oil or lavender or anything like that. It's very beautiful. It must be you guys. So yeah, we've been together for a while now. Thank you. I know some of you had to hop off. That's okay. I actually just intended this to be an hour, but I always go over. It's I want to share the practical sort of tools with you, which involves talking through the things, and then I want to do the breath and move into this space with you. So it always takes longer than I imagine. Robin says she hears the cookies. Yeah, and the birds, lots of birds. Although there was a moment where everything went dead silent here, which is incredibly rare. I think it's only usually during earthquakes. I didn't feel an earthquake, but maybe. Yeah, thank you all for being here. And I send so much love to you all. Please, use whatever resonated as a tool for you. Again, I'll put this video somewhere so that you can access again if you want to come back to it. And I hope to connect with you, maybe in a few days. Maybe some of them will be shorter. Maybe we can sometimes do these nice long sessions. And I don't really have. I feel like I'm supposed to offer some sort of advice right now, and I don't have advice. Really just invite you to, as much as you can, show up for your experience with that love and tenderness. And we're in a situation that, at least globally, nobody has ever been in. We've never been in a situation like this. So it's all a new and unknown, and aspects of that might be terrifying, but I also invite you to explore the aspects of that that don't feel terrifying, that have a lot of hope. So just get curious about things. I find that's a good way to deal with fear, just getting really curious about things. Okay. Celia says, thank you for the experience. It's nice to meet you. You too. And Christy, so grateful for your generosity and love and calming presence. Thank you. You're very welcome. Thank you for being here. Tony says, thank you, Jessica. It was really special. You have no idea how amazing that was to experience. Love and tenderness for my fears is hugely timely, I think, and much appreciated. You are so welcome. Yeah, really my pleasure to be here with you, and I am, very grateful for what you bring as well, and that lovely lavender scent, which I'm pretty sure is you guys. So yeah, take care. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. Feel free to reach out. I don't always respond right away because sometimes I get behind on things, but I do try to respond to everything. And sending you my love. Keep breathing and keep being kind to yourself. And again, yeah, somebody mentioned you can use that tool, that inquiry. Just is this the most loving thing I can do for myself right now? It's such a good way to navigate. And I'll be with you in heart and presence and energy.